Hey everyone, James here from American Drifter. Ever since I began shooting videos, I've received a ton of requests to do a video dedicated to first aid. And I haven't done that until today. So today we're going to be covering my first aid kit to give you a better idea of items that you should have in the event of an emergency. Let's get into it. A few things to call out before I break down this pouch and go through all the items. If you're tight on money, I would focus more on the supplies that you need to, be prepared for a life-threatening situation than I would be about the pouch and the organization. While it is important, again, if you're tight on resources, then I would spend that money on having the items rather than the organization. Secondly, I've set this up to be more of a trauma kit slash boo-boo kit, so I have both life-saving items and also medical supplies for minor injuries. And then lastly, you'll notice some of these items aren't super secure, and I'm okay with that because this is actually stored in my get home bag, and it's actually in the front pouch so I can easily access it, so I'm not really worried about losing some of these because they're already inside of a pocket. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the contents. Here's the exterior of my first aid kit slash IFAK or individual first aid kit. And I just wanted to cover the outside because I'm actually, instead of going through this pouch and going through each sleeve one by one, I'm going to separate it into three categories. That's going to be life-saving items, small first aid kit, and luxury items, or items that are more of a nicety than a necessity. This is the trauma category of my med kit, or IFAK, and I've laid these items out in a way to where they're located in the pouch so I can quickly access them in the event of an emergency. All right, I don't want to have to fish for life-saving items. I want them to be easily accessible so I can, get to them and address the, the injury at hand. All right, so from left to right, first thing that you'll notice that I have on the outside were trauma shears so I can quickly rip through clothing to get, to an injury. To the right of that, I have a tourniquet. And I do want to mention that these usually come in, like kind of a plastic covering. Make sure you rip that away so that it's ready to go in the event of an emergency. And for a get home bag, I'd probably even have two of these. All right, to the right of that, I have a Sharpie so I can write the time on the tourniquet label. Ideally, I would want to use 24-hour time for that. To the right of that, I have some Dermabond, that is a skin adhesive for a large wound that I would want to use to kind of seal that wound to stop the bleeding. I have combat gauze here. That's great. It can kind of work in conjunction with some of these items such as medical tape, compression bandage. Any of those would work great on, or with, I should say. And then to the right of that, I have a vented chest seal, for those penetration wounds. Great item for a get-home bag. Below these items on the top, I have gloves. You want to make sure that you're not handling an injury with, dirty hands. I have med tape, like I mentioned before, self-adhesive tape or bandage, and then duct tape. These are the items that I have for the second category of my IFAK to address, small wounds, small injuries, anything of that nature. So you'll notice I have some Band-Aids, some antibacterial cream, a set of tweezers, aspirin, eye drops, and seasonal allergy pills. And this item right here that looks like a breath mint, that's actually an expandable towel. Just throw this in some water and it will expand into a small hand towel. And the reason I have that is to combat heat exhaustion. Kind of throw this in some water and wrap it around my neck. And last but not least, I have the luxury item category, items that are more of a nicety than a necessity. All right, starting from my far left, I have a small bottle of strong alcohol. Why? Because I'm of age, and if I'm dealing with severe pain, I want a way to combat that. To the right of that, I have a Snickers bar. You guys all know that I love Snickers bars, and this is a great way to bounce back from an injury, especially if you're feeling dizzy, lightheaded, you have low blood sugar. This is a great way to get your blood sugar up. And I know someone's gonna say it, it's chocolate, yeah, it's gonna melt. I don't care if it melts. No one's ever, been harmed by melted chocolate. I'm still gonna eat it. All right, and then to the right of that, I have electrolyte powder packets. This is a great way to rehydrate or to come back from drinking this. To the right of that, I have sunscreen in a plastic bag just in case it leaks. And then also, to accommodate that, I have chapstick that's also sun defense. This is great if you're going to be outdoors for a long period of time. Great, prep measure, because no one likes to be sunburnt for extended periods of time outside. It's not fun. And then lastly, I have my foot care section. I have foot powder to help keep my feet dry for extended periods of time outdoors. And then below that, I have a sheet of moleskin. I can easily cut off small sections and use on places like my ankles to help prevent blisters. And that does it for my IFAK. Before you go, please do me a huge favor and smash that like button, especially if you noticed an item today that you weren't aware of before. It really helps me out and I really appreciate your support. Additionally, if you notice that I didn't have an item in here, please feel free to let me know down in the comment section listed below. So that's all for now. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.